Very good morning to you. Welcome to the Thursday edition of the show. I'm Yemi Adebayo.
It's great to have you join us again. I'm Taya Salam. Okay, let's get on with the show now. And we're starting from the WAFU Cup of Nations, and it's D-Day for Nigeria as they take on the Skiers of Benin Republic in the semifinals of the WAFU Cup of Nations.
Right, we wish the Super Eagles all the best in that one as they take on the Squirrels of Benin. Back home, let's talk about the ITO Cup. First leg quarterfinal results. A lot of one or two upsets, one or two matches yet to be played. We'll talk about that much later on the show.
Right, so that's it for the ITO Cup. Let's move on now. Let's talk international football. And unfortunate for former coach of the England women's national team. I'm talking about Mark Sampson. He's been sacked. He was sacked yesterday by the English FA. This guy has been under the spotlight for a while now. Started out with Eni Aluko, with allegations of
claims,
racism and bullying, against Mark Sampson. And just when we thought, okay, all that was cleared, investigations were carried out, it was cleared, his name was cleared, no problems whatsoever. News breaks yesterday that he has been sacked. And you start to wonder, okay, what's going on here? I thought this guy was cleared just a couple of days ago, and you find out he's actually been sacked for another unrelated reason, totally. And it's a shame, really, because you have to say he's done a good job ever since he became the coach of the England women's national team.
Yeah, I mean, the English FA, a group of people that, very strong on ethics, very code of conduct must be top-notch. They're so sensitive, if I can use that word, and I don't mean it in an offensive way. If anything rubs off you in any way, they're ready to part ways with you.
Right.
And like you said, the thing refused to go away, some allegations. This one that caught a eye that led to the problem was not even during his reign as manager. And
right.
In 2015, he passed an assessment by the FA, like you said, and everyone thought, okay, fine, it's all over. But this one just took the wind out of his sail in another way. Well, not from the issues with Eniola Aluko, but in another way. And some conspiracy theorists are saying it was a convenient way to just ease him out.
Right. Yeah. The official word from the English FA is that Mark Sampson, there's evidence of inappropriate and unacceptable behavior with female players in a previous role. That previous role was when he was in charge at Bristol Academy. And I don't think we need to talk much about this. Like I said, a lot of people looking from the outside, they've reached the conclusion that this is just an easy way out, to get rid of this man because of the attention, unwanted attention is brought to the FA with them allegations from Eni Aluko and one other player. But Chief Executive of the English FA, that's Martin Glenn, he's been trying to explain exactly why Mark Sampson was sacked.
Well, it's been a difficult decision, but I need to give you a bit of context and history. Back in 2013, early 14, there were concerns raised, allegations raised about Mark's time at the Bristol Academy. These were investigated by the FA's safeguarding unit, and Mark was cleared in terms of his suitability to continue in football in early 2015. So Mark, let's be clear, Mark is not deemed to be a safeguarding threat in football. The problem is that when I read the full report of that just last week, the issue became one of Mark's conduct, and it's really around the boundaries between a player and the coach in this case, coaching players. On reading that report, I felt that what I saw was incompatible with the standards that we would expect for someone to work at the FA. I shared that with the chairman. He was of the same opinion. We shared that with the board this weekend, and then a subsequent meeting to validate our recommendation on Monday. So the issue is about his conduct, the standards that the FA has to set. I can understand why people would say that, but they're two very different things. The concerns that Eni Aluko had raised were about perceived bullying, and perceived racism. We've investigated those properly. There have been 2 separate investigations, actually, which have broadly concluded there's no systematic evidence for that. This is a different issue. This is about his conduct before his time at the FA, which we judge just isn't consistent with the standards that an FA employee needs to show.
Yes, sir, that's Martin Glenn, Chief Executive for the English FA, trying to explain exactly why they've made that decision to part company with Mark Sampson. And it's a very strange one, I mean, because you'd say this guy, they did the assessments, all those years ago.
Integrity checks all over.
They still thought he was fit enough to manage the women's national team. And what has changed in those 2 years? It's a lot of questions are still left to be answered. They haven't specified exactly the inappropriate behavior is that with the female fan. We don't know that yet. I imagine we're going to find out later. It will come out eventually. But it's such a mess. It's a mess, absolute mess. And I just wonder where they go from here.
Yeah, I wanted to. He's not a racist. He's not a bully. No, that's not why we're sacking him. Improper conduct. It's all funny.
Right.
The noise and everything has been around, like you said, for a while now. And now I think it's a convenient way. I mean, it's so funny that Glenn had to read that report 2 weeks ago.
I mean,
and the report has been available since his time at Bristol City.
Right.
He read it just 2 weeks ago.
Incredible stuff.
And he made up his mind after reading just that report. It's
that's
funny.
not fit to be the manager
conduct.
any longer, right? It's quite. You understand why
it's a convenient way.
A lot of people are not buying this reason at all. But it is what it is. Mark Sampson is no longer the coach of the England women's national team. We wish him all the best in his future endeavors.